The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
Michigan State basketball added another player out of the portal.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Divine Ukachukwu pickup for Michigan State basketball. And before going any further, hey guys, thanks a lot for making us your first listen of the day. This is an interesting pickup here for Michigan State basketball with adding Divine Ukachukwu, who played last year at Miami, not sparingly like it was going to be as he entered his freshman season at Miami. Now, depending on who you read, who you listen to, there's conflicting reports, but the word is that he was going to redshirt his freshman season at Miami. That was the plan going in. Former three-star out of Sugar Land, Texas, just let the college game unfold before his eyes, and then Miami season kind of got interesting right off the bat with some injuries. So he played in 28 games, 16 starts as a true freshman, 20 minutes per game for the 6'3" former three-star guard. Now, in those 28 games, 5.3 points per game, 2 assists per game. And of course, you can figure it out by now. He enters the transfer portal. Michigan State, not only were they after him, now you probably know this, he commits to Michigan State. And the Spartans weren't the only Power 5 program after him. The Spartans beat out Texas Tech, who was long thought of as the leader for his services. And also Big Ten, traditional Big Ten foe, USC was also hot after him too. But Tom Izzo gets his guy. He gets what appears to be the backup to Jeremy Fears, something that Michigan State desperately needed in this portal cycle. So let's get into what Tom Izzo probably likes about this kid right here. Now, we've already said it 2 or 3 times, but yes, 6'3" guard, certainly not undersized at that position. And this guy is an athlete, okay? He's got the range. He's got the defense on his side. And, well, to go along with that athleticism, he plays above the rim. I mean, that's not to say that he's like Cohen Carr and he's just going to be banging and breaking backboards left and right, but for a point guard in college hoops, certainly a little more bounce than you usually see there. Now, he does turn that into 63% finishing at the rim, which is right on par with where you want to be, if not a tick higher, especially as a true freshman playing in Power 5 basketball than he was last season. So, solid finisher on the rim. Probably a two-way player, and of course, Tom Izzo likes that. You don't play for Michigan State unless you play some modicum of defense, and it looks like this guy can be a plus defender, especially with how young he is. Now, if you want some extra moxie, he also wore 99 for Miami last year. I don't know how many basketball players I've seen wear the number 99, but yeah, when we're breaking this kid down, we're going to use everything, from the box score to what we see in the film to his number choices here. So this is where it gets into, like, in Tom we trust territory here, and not to poo-poo the kid or say like, oh, this guy's going to be a bust here, but it is interesting that they brought in a kid with this kind of a blemish here. And before we rattle it off and start talking about his shooting, what this means to the lineup, I will say that whenever we talked about searching for a backup guard, especially when Divine Ukachukwu visited campus not too long ago here, we always said and realized that, look, Michigan State, when they bring on this guard, that is, of course, going to be in this backup role, there's going to be some blemish to his game. Very hard to go out, sell the kids, hey, you're going to play behind Jeremy Fears, come be a backup here. It's hard to get like a 10 out of 10 player here. Someone that's just so excited to get here and be a backup. No, you're going to sacrifice something with whoever you got out of the portal. This was always going to be who it was for Michigan State. They were going to go out, drop a bag, get someone that was even going to play above Jeremy Fears. I mean, this staff and this pickup kind of solidifies this. They are confident in Jeremy Fears. They needed someone, and of course, that was going to come with a wart. And the wart to this game, to Divine Ukachukwu's game, is the shooting, right? He is 17% from three-point land as a true freshman. And of course, that can go up. But man, can it go up enough to actually matter, to actually space the floor ever? Because, guys, you've lost Jace Richardson, Jaden Akins, Trey Holloman, Frankie Fiddler, Xavier Booker. Those are your top 5 3-point attempts, guys, last season. And I know the story last year is that a lot of those attempts didn't go down. Now, Jace Richardson was the outlier. He shot it really good last year, of course. But Jaden Akins, yes, he only shot at, 30-ish%. Same with Trey Holloman, too. Even, Xavier Booker didn't shoot it great. But at least they were threats. At least they were known to be able to shoot a three. At least they could space a floor for you. Whereas when Divine's on the court, you remember when Michigan State played North Carolina in the tournament not too long ago, and Eli Cadeau, whenever he was at three-point land, Tom Izzo basically had every defender run out of bounds. That's how much space and disrespect they gave his shot. That could be what's going to be on deck here coming up whenever Divine Ukachukwu has the ball here. So it is interesting, especially coming off of a year where the three-point shooting was just not there, and also losing this many players that can actually space a floor with being a three-point threat. But again, I'm just the podcaster. I'm just the observer from the outside. You got to trust Tom Izzo here, and who are we to not do that, especially after winning the Big Ten by 3 games last season. But that is interesting. I thought maybe that they would go down and, get perhaps an undersized guy or someone from a real low major school that actually, at least shot the ball well. Because right now, if it doesn't work out with Divine, and let's say Trey Fort from Samford, solid enough shooter, let's say it doesn't translate immediately to Big Ten basketball. Let's say Kerr Tang, who didn't really get a lot of minutes last year, and understandably so. There's a little bit of a logjam there. But let's say it's a slow start to him for having a serious role on this team too. Let's say Caleb Glenn, hey, fine three-point shooter, somewhere around 40%, but his free throw shooting not that good. Let's say he has a regression with his three-point shooting. I'm not trying to pull every fire alarm. I'm not trying to overly panic, but there is a world where, like, Michigan State, in a year where they really did not shoot the three-point ball all that well last year, that it could be like, I'm not saying another season in the 300s, but another season where it's not going to be a strong suit for this team. So, interesting pickup here. And Tom Izzo, we trust, of course. 17% from 3, that is quite the low number. And this is why maybe I don't necessarily think it's just going to turn around just like that. It's because his free throw shooting wasn't great shakes either at Miami. And he also didn't really get to the free throw line a lot. Just 1.6 attempts per game, even for as downhill of a player as he is. But when he got to the free throw line, 63%. So there's going to be some work that has to be done here with his shooting to make this all work. But again, there was always going to be a blemish with whatever point guard's game. And while we did just mention that, hey, they lost this much three-point shooting, or at least three-point threats in theory, you know what? Maybe you're looking at a 6'3" guy, a guy that can defend the wing, guard positions, something that was a backbone for Michigan State last year. One of the best, if not the best, three-point defense, not just in the conference, but in the country. Maybe you're also looking at, okay, I just lost Jace Richardson, plus defender. Just lost Jaden Akins, certainly a plus defender. I just lost Trey Holloman, solid defender, I would say. We also need guard defense. So maybe, hey, it's guys like me that are just getting a little too caught up in the shooting numbers, which, excuse us for doing so after a not-so-great season from behind the arc last year. But the benefit is that there was also a hole left with this defense. So to turn this all around, end on a high note here when we're talking about this kid and who he is, solid defender, that's the hole that Tom Izzo has chosen to plug. So that is what it's going to look like here with Divine Ukachukwu. Now, this is probably, I would imagine, the last guy they add, although there is one more spot. We will see if they do want to go ahead and add another guy. I know that they were out in Israel not too long ago, scouting Noam Yaakov. Solid player in the European League over there. So we'll see if there's any smoke billowing out of those towers by any chance. That would be another point guard to add him into the mix. I think that you could absolutely share that role with Fears, Yaakov, and Ukachukwu. Ukachukwu maybe also playing the 2 position if it comes to that. But yeah, right now, let's just say that this is the last pickup for Michigan State. Okay. I mean, again, this does scream that they do have faith in Jeremy Fears, as if there was any doubt around that. But Fears definitely had a strong end to his year last year, his redshirt freshman season, technically. So I, for one, am a Fears guy. I don't think that they needed to go out and get someone to really push him for starters minutes, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. So how is it going to divvy up with the backcourt as far as minutes go? Is it a world with Jeremy Fears playing 28 minutes to start the year and then Divine eating up the other 12 minutes perhaps? And then at the 2, you got Trey Fort eating up 25 minutes, Kerr Tang 12 minutes. And then Divine, you know what? You want to bring him up to 15 minutes. You let him play 3 minutes at the 2. Absolutely a world where that's going to happen. So that's where it is right now. I do like, again, Michigan State's offseason. I think this is a fascinating pickup for Michigan State. And, hey, trust in Tom Izzo, because if you're not going to do that after this Big Ten winning season, then what are you going to do?
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. Track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
The Florida Gators got to commit Jameer Perez.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators.
The Florida Gators yesterday added to their 2026 recruiting class with the defensive lineman Jameer Perez, and the Florida Gators have now 2 commits in the 2026 class. Obviously, still a lot of work to go. Currently ranked 73rd, but it's May. They were ranked around this in October of last year. Plenty of time, not stressing about it. And with just how recruiting is, can't care about it right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I could be happy about a commit. We got the shades on for a commit. But as far as, being rooting, tooting, all that stuff, can't do it. I don't have it in me right now to do that. But I am excited for Jameer Perez. Like what I saw on film. He was also being recruited by Ohio State, Cincinnati, Vanderbilt, and Wisconsin as well. I think that those recruitments will continue, and I will say this. He said yesterday after committing that he's done. He's like, "Yep, nope, I'm committed. That's what I'm looking at." And maybe. But I can't trust those statements, because Florida has had 2 players in the 2026 class say, "I'm shutting my recruitment down," only to flip. And so I'm sorry, this isn't against Jameer Perez. This isn't against anyone specifically. I've just seen it too often now where, and this isn't even a Florida specific thing. This is just a college football thing where I see or hear, "I'm shutting it down." Don't buy it anymore. I just don't. I'm sorry. And until there's any semblance of consistency with those statements, I just can't buy into it. I'm gonna be honest there. Jameer Perez is 6'4", 330-pound defensive lineman out of Ohio, and at 6'4", 330, right now I would expect him to be fitting into that nose tackle role. But I make sure to say right now or expect that, because there's a couple possibilities there where if he gets taller but remains at 330, well, then he'd probably play more of a nose tackle role. I mean, more of a 3-tech instead of a nose tackle role, where, look, if he grew 2 inches and stayed 330 pounds, that's Caleb Banks' size. Caleb Banks is listed at like 6'5.5", 6'6", 330 pounds. So if he got a little taller but didn't add weight to that, probably going to be more of a 3-tech. It is also possible that, let's say he gets on campus, an Ohio kid gets on campus in the state of Florida. Well, you're not used to that kind of humidity, that kind of heat. Probably going to lose some weight. Maybe he drops to 6'4", 310, and he starts playing more of a 3-tech role. That's why I say right now he's at that size, and right now that is what I would expect him to play at the next level. It's not to say that I think the plan will really change with it, but it's just to say he's a high school kid, and I think that's an important thing that people often overlook when we talk about these high school kids. We're like, you can come in at 5'11", 185. And there's a chance that by the time you leave school, you're going to be 6'2", 6'3". Those are possibilities that I don't think enough people talk about. And we actually talked about it for quite some time, a couple years ago, we'll say, with John Garcia from Rivals now, about how there are schools that try to project things like that. Try to say, yeah, you're a little undersized, but it's an undersized that we could deal with, while also accepting, hey, maybe you grow a little bit and you're not so undersized anymore. Jameer Perez also had his player host was Makai Boyro, which usually those player hosts are players in your position room, in your position group, and oftentimes playing the same position as you, in which case Makai Boyro, nose tackle, Jameer Perez, nose tackle. So I will say I like the addition. Even on film, I like what Jameer Perez does. Obviously, he has things to clean up. Like, he's a 3-star defensive tackle for a reason, which we'll talk about in a second. He's a 3-star defensive tackle for a reason. He is still a high school football player. And I think that a lot of people kind of expect these kids to be more refined than they probably realistically should be. I think that's one of my reasons with this coaching staff, why I've been so fine with the way that they recruit, is that I think oftentimes, whether it's a 5-star or an unranked kid, when they recruit a kid, it is, can he develop into a premier player? Can he develop into that guy? And I think that what they do is they take a lot of guys with the physical tools to be great, but need that refinement, and they go, okay, we'll refine you. And I think Jameer Perez is one of those guys that needs that refinement, but has a very high ceiling. So if you get him close to the ceiling, you're talking about a really good football player there. It's also important to note that I have said recently that I'm really caring about rankings less and less. I think they're bold, more so than ever before. And I have always kept the sentiment that at nose tackle, I really don't care about the rankings. It's not we'll say, poppy position. And so I think that a lot of these recruiting services are horrible at evaluating the grit of football. I think that's a common flaw that really all of them have, is not recognizing and appreciating what the grit part of this game is. Not recognizing and appreciating what a good nose tackle can do for you. What just a body bag snatching guard can do for you. I don't think that these recruiting services recognize that. And I think a lot of it is because a lot of them never put the chin strap on and actually went out there. And I'm not saying that I was in the trenches like that, but being able to go out there and recognize it and appreciate it is something that I think is very overlooked by these recruiting services. Like I've said before, I think they're really bad at determining the grit factor of this sport. It is what it is. But Jameer Perez joining the Florida Gators football team. He's part of the 2026 class. Joins Will Griffin as the only 2026 commits.
The NBA playoffs roll on, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes it easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, there's so many ways to bet your favorite props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
Carter Bryan announces that he is all in on the NBA draft.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Carter Bryan has said that he is 100% all in on the NBA draft. And while I think there's probably a little bit of a sense of trying to walk that one back a little bit, I take him at his word. I believe that he is all in, and I don't think there's really any debate about any of this. I think that he is pretty much all in, and we will be talking about in a little bit kind of some of the replacements possibilities for him. But first, what is his comment? He said, yeah, I'm all in. And then Jeff Borzello put out there and said, well, he hasn't completely shut the door. Unless something drastically different happens, I believe that Carter Bryan is going to declare is going to stay in the draft. I think that he's a very good prospect. He's going to take a little bit of time. I think that that's something that obviously a lot of people need to understand, is that he is a far from a finished product, is evidence of the fact that he averaged 6-4 this past season, but he's a very good shooter as well. He can do a lot of different things, and he projects out as a pretty good basketball player. But again, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. It is going to take some time for him. So, like I said, keep that in mind. So I think Arizona has to go with it from the perspective that he's all in, and Arizona has to do basically what's best for them, and we're going to get to that. Now, NBA feedback, what does that all mean? I mean, yes, Carter was going to test very, very well. You watch him, and he's he's over 6'6". He has a 40-inch vertical leap. He is a 6'11" wingspan, and he's a really, really good kid. Now, again, I'm always going to say this. He's young, but he is a very, very good kid. His upside is immense. Now, will he reach that upside? Who knows? I don't know, and I don't think that really anybody else knows out there as well, but he's very intriguing, and we've talked about a ton of different teams that we could see him going to, and I think the first one is that I don't believe that he's going to get past the 12th pick. As a matter of fact, I'd be stunned if he gets past the 12th pick. And like I said, I believe that he is staying in the draft no matter what he says or what he tries to walk back. And again, that's not a diss at all towards Carter. Like Carter a lot, but it just is what it is at this point. Okay, so now, what are the next steps then for him? He's going to go through the interview process, and like I said, I expect him to stay in the draft. Now, a lot of people, before we get into names, are going to bash Tommy Lloyd, and they're going to say, Tommy Lloyd, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Whatever the case may be, a lot of people that are, just don't quite get it. Carter Bryan has a very, very, very good reputation in the Southern California basketball scene, as does his entire family. Deshaun Bryant is a great dude. Played obviously in college from Long Beach, and he's Carter Bryant's dad. Carter's uncle Trevon is a McDonald's All-American who played at Missouri. He's also from Southern California as well. It's a very well thought of family, and Carter Bryant is a very well thought of kid. I mean, you watch him; he's young. He has a lot of different things. That you watch him, and you're just kind of like, okay, you can kind of see it. Just kind of is what it is. You can kind of see it. But he is like I said, he's going to, it's going to take him a little bit of time to get there. But Tommy Lloyd is well aware of this. Now, I do believe that Tommy Lloyd messed up a little bit. I think that at some point in the game, I got it early on, but after a while, Tommy Lloyd needed to stop playing Trey Townsend as much. Now, you could say, well, Carter played more as the season went on. Carter, in my opinion, should have taken his lumps as the season went, and so that there wasn't as much up and down, because Trey Townsend just wasn't good enough. That will always be something that won't make a ton of sense for me that Tommy Lloyd did. But again, Tommy Lloyd is one of the winningest basketball coaches in history over his first 4 years, and I am not. I know that's it's hard for some folks to believe, but I am not. But either way, he's a really, really good coach. But I think he does get stuck on playing some favorites from time to time, and I think that's exactly what happened there. Carter should have played more. But the one thing that Tommy Lloyd was not going to do under any circumstances, and I mean any circumstances, was push Carter Bryan out. If Carter Bryan comes to you and says, Coach, I want to test the NBA, but I just don't really know I just don't really know where I'm going to stand. Tommy Lloyd is not going to say, hey, guess what, Carter? Cool, get out of here, and we'll find a replacement. Now, I know it'd be really cool for, and it'd be a lot easier, I think, for a lot of folks, too, to be able to say, all right, well, Carter Bryant is, let's just push him out and let's bring in a transfer portal guy. Let's bring in a Lawan Watts or, somebody like that. That's also not how this works. If you push Carter Bryan out when he says, and keep in mind, he averaged 6-4 this past year, so it's not like it was some foregone conclusion that he was going to go after a year. If you push Carter Bryant out after averaging 6-4, guess what? That Southern California scene, that starts to dry up very, very quickly because the word will get around very quickly that you push Carter Bryant out. That is a stupid move. You don't want to do that. And again, you can just look at it. Look at some of the guys that Tommy Lloyd has recruited in California from a Braden Burries. You look at Braden Burries, he's close with Carter. Carter Bryant was one of the ones telling him, hey, man, you should get to the U of A, you should get here, and you should come back the A. Braden Burries is one of the top 10 players in the entire class. If Carter Bryant does not like his experience, if Carter Bryant is pushed out, whatever the case may be, you probably don't get Braden Burries, and there is a lot of different examples of players that you probably don't get if you push out Braden, or if you push out Carter Bryant. You can go on and on down the list. You look at other guys too, and they are all with clutch as well. You push out Carter, and you're probably not getting Christian Collins. You're probably not getting Taj Ariza. You got to let Carter play this one out. And, like I said, you can believe him, you can not believe him that he was all in, but he is, that's a decision that you got to basically live with if you're the University of Arizona. And I think Tommy Lloyd did a very good job of this. I think that Tommy Lloyd made the best decision that he could make for the U of A, and it's the decision that was honestly the right decision. He is a player that you watch it and you can just tell that, he's a good kid. He's definitely not lying about this. So it is what it is. And again, he's with Clutch. Arizona is going to be recruiting the Clutch scene for a long time. So the last thing that you want to do is annoy somebody with Clutch. Again, that's LeBron James agency. You don't want to get those folks upset. You don't want to get those folks upset, especially for no reason. So be that as it may, my friends, be that as it may. But again, when you've got a player with a really good rep, you don't want to annoy them. Now, the other thing too is people are like, oh, well, moved on from Jamari Phillips or whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here. All kids are young. Jamari Phillips became a problem. Multiple high schools, et cetera, and he doesn't have any real cachet in Southern California. Carter Bryant is a really, really good kid, is an NBA player, and he's got a lot of cachet in Southern California. So not all situations are created equal, and I think Carter Bryant shows that, and Carter Bryant shows that one in spades, that not all situations are created equal. So that's what Tommy had to do. I think you wish Carter nothing but the best. And he's going to be a good ambassador for the University of Arizona, and I think that's something that Arizona can definitely pick up on a little bit. It's going to be a good thing when you're recruiting Southern California and you got your first one and done from there. That's going to be like I said, that's going to be a really, really good spot for the U of A to be in. And I think that the U of A, again, people are like, well, should the U of A have done this? Should the U of A have taken this? Whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, this was a decision that you make every single day of the week, and it's going to be something good for Arizona at the end of the day. Now, again, do you wish that he was maybe here for 2 years? Sure. But at the end of the day, he was not here for 2 years, and I think that just is what it is. You're going to be okay. Arizona's going to be okay. Carter Bryant is going to be okay.